Welcome into Talking Fitchburg today. I have a very short time to get you introduced and going here. I am Andrew Bamlett. Again, we're going to be sitting down and talking home sprinkler systems. We have a two-part series today in your digest and your guest, and this will be a replay, so we'll be joining that. But here I do want to get a few headlines in for you. We're going to start with transportation is available for COVID-19 vaccination appointments. Transportation will be provided for appointments for adults age 50 and up. For those who live in their own home or apartment in Dane County, there is no cost for this ride. These rides will intend for those who truly have no other means for transportation. If you need to call 608-242-6489. And just like that, as I said, that's as quick as we can do it. Coming up next is starting that series on talking about home sprinkler systems. We're watching Talking Fitchburg.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. It's a very special day here on Talking Fitchburg. Adam Dorn comes through again, and I say that nicely. Adam has done a great job of setting up great interviews all of this year, and this is going to be another great one as we're talking about Home Fire Sprinkler Week here in the nation, and we want to talk specifically with somebody who knows a little bit about home fire sprinklers in the home. Adam Dorn, what do you got for us today?
Well, thanks again, Jeremy, for having us back. And yeah, we've got an awesome guest with us today. Someone that I've known for, oh goodness, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe. I don't even remember. But he's been just a wealth of knowledge. He's someone that you can go to when you have questions about fire prevention, fire codes, safety, anything really. You can go to him and he has the answer, and if he doesn't, he'll help you find the right place to get it. We're talking about Guy Santelli out of Kenosha, Wisconsin, at the fire department down there. He's a division chief of fire prevention. He's also the secretary for the Wisconsin State Fire Inspectors Association. That's actually how I got to know him. And he's also on a couple of NFPA committees. I will let him talk about those. Specifically, I don't want to steal his thunder there, but I'd call him an expert when it comes to fire prevention and home fire sprinklers, because he's got some pretty cool stuff going on in his own home too that he's very proud about, and rightfully so. So without further ado, I'll just introduce Mr. Guy Santelli.
Guy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys including me on such an important topic this week.
Absolutely. And I just noticed here that the way you have your camera tilted up, we can see some of those sprinkler heads in the back of you. So I don't know if you did that purposely or not, but hey, we like that. Diving right into this, Guy, let's get to know you a little bit. Adam did a great job here of setting us up for what your kind of your background, but how did you get involved in the home sprinkler systems in as far as fire suppression?
Well, back in as far as 2008, 2007 era, Governor Doyle appointed me to a national committee on fire sprinklers, and then he also asked if we would start a state coalition, and we actually did put one of those together. It's Wisconsin Fire Sprinkler Coalition, and right now it's run through the Professional Firefighters Association through the state, and I have since stepped down, and there's other guys that are running that, but I'm still a member of that committee. I no longer head it, but I was one of the founding fathers with putting that committee together and getting home sprinklers, more awareness about home sprinklers for the state of Wisconsin. And that coalition is doing a good job. Obviously, we have some hurdles that we're still trying to jump over, but we can discuss those later. Then the NFPA got a hold of me and asked me to do their Faces of Fire voiceovers. So I was doing those for the NFPA, and one of the main reasons they picked me when my wife and I built a home in 2010, we automatically thought that fire sprinklers were an important part. So we installed a fire sprinkler system in our home. Contrary to the beliefs that our kids would throw balls at the sprinkler heads and would knock the sprinkler heads off, and they would hang hangers from them. And it's all a matter of how you teach and make your kids aware of what is protecting them in their house, just not their parents protecting them. And my house has gone through anywhere from a 9-month old all the way up to a 21-year-old now. And nobody we haven't had any false alarms at my house. Nobody throws balls at them, because just what we're there to do in the Fire Prevention Bureau, we're here to educate. And we educated our kids right from the start that those were safety items that were installed in the house to protect them and keep them safe even when mom and dad weren't home. And we weren't to play with those. We weren't to throw anything at them, and we were to respect them and make sure that they were there when we needed them. It goes back to we've got a couple bunk beds in our house, and the upstairs has sidewall pendants, and um, there's one probably 6-8 inches from where they could touch them, and they don't, because we educated them. And the more we educate people on them, the more comfortable people will feel with them, and hopefully we can start getting everybody on board to put them in their homes.
So I think the big question to kick things off here is why are sprinklers so important overall? Why do we need to have them? Whether it's in a commercial building, home, anywhere. What's the point? Why?
Well, I think the biggest thing to take home from this is why we need them is that we're building more and more out of plastics. We're building more and more with glue and particle board versus what we call the legacy era of the 60s and 70s and even the early 80s, where things were made out of solid wood, things were made out of cotton, things were made out of cotton batting. They were made, furniture and beddings were made with springs, and things nowadays we're moving towards plastics, more polys, more glues, more particle boards, and those things burn much, much quicker. And when you start watching the videos and when you start understanding that it took a fire anywhere from 18 to 22 minutes to get to flashover, and it was a very slow burn because we were burning cottons, we were burning uh, fabric batting, we were burning metal, we were burning whole pieces of woods, versus today, where we get to flash over in 3 to 4 minutes in a home, because we are using polyurethanes, we're using glues, we're using plastics, we're using wood particles and wood chips versus solid wood, and things burn much quicker. So we don't have the amount of time to safely get out of our house like we used to. And like I tell everybody, I could care less about the material things in my home. It's making sure that my children and my family get out of that house. And as once everybody's out, that place can burn down for all I care. Everything in there is replaceable, but the human life is not replaceable. And as soon as we get everybody to get over that hurdle and get over the hurdle that costs, it costs me less to put in my sprinkler system than it did the granite countertops that my wife picked out for the whole house. So as soon as people put a price on life safety is when we're going to start understanding this more. But the whole premise to the sprinkler systems in the homes is we have less time to get out now. And we have that smoke accumulates a lot quicker than it did 30 years ago. And we want to make sure that people get out safe.
Absolutely. And Adam, sticking on that theme, from your experience here in Fitchburg in responding, I mean, I guess a two-part question, your firsthand experience of a sprinkler versus not sprinkler fire, but also how long does it take from the time you guys get paged to get to a fire, and the difference there of having a home or having a sprinkler in general versus not, what's that outcome look like?
great question, Jeremy. So let's start with like the response time, because that's pretty much standard, right? Um, so if once the fire is detected, so we're going to start at the time the fire is detected. If there's no sprinkler system there, which would be connected to an alarm system, by the time that is reported, to the time we get notified, to the time we're on scene, that's somewhere between 5 to 8 minutes. That's a long time. It's a long time for the fire to grow. A fire doubles in size every minute, roughly. So one of the things to think about is that once that fire is detected, that's kind of when our clock starts. We don't know how soon before the clock starts, the fire actually started. So if we have smoke detectors or fire sprinklers in this case, the sprinklers could activate in a minute or minute and a half or so, depending on the type size of the fire, how fast it grows, how much heat's produced. And that alone can save building property. What it really does, most importantly, is allows people time to get out of the structure or the building. So we haven't had any fires in Fitchburg where, actually we have had one fire in an apartment building that did not have a sprinkler system. A fire started and a person passed away because of the fire. A few years ago, we have, more than a couple times in the last few years, we've had fires in sprinkled apartment buildings where it's literally been just the kitchen that has been affected by the fire because the sprinkler actually put it out. And it was one sprinkler head. It wasn't all the sprinkler heads as you see in the movies when they pull the fire alarm, or if there's smoke. Smoke does not set off sprinklers, heat does. One sprinkler head will slow or stop the fire, I'm going to say about 90% of the time. I think it's actually higher than that, but the majority of the times where a fire is stopped or slowed, it takes two heads and it's almost nearly always extinguished. So it makes a huge, huge difference. One of the other things to think about is that the amount of water that the firefighters are using to put out a fire, when we come in to put out a fire in most places, we're flowing 150 gallons per minute at a minimum. The sprinkler heads use much less than that, and so there will be much less damage from the fire and the water that needs to be cleaned up as well. The other thing that's go ahead.
No, I it's great information, and I don't want to interrupt you. I'll tell you what, Dorn and Guy, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue our conversation on the other side of the break. We're lucky enough to have Guy here from Kenosha Fire Department, and we're going to continue our home sprinkler talk on the other side of the break. Stay with us. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
I tried Oxy at a couple of parties. I didn't know it'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. We're continuing our talk today about home sprinkler systems in your home sprinkler system. I say right there in the title. Good thing I'm leading this. We've got the guy here from Kenosha Fire Department, Adam Dorn, continuing our conversation. Guy talking about how much water is pushed through, and I'm suspecting here that the more sprinklers you have in the home, the better chances that a fire is going to be put out. But I guess talk through that front. Adam kind of set us up with what it looks like for those fires getting out, but success rates with sprinkler systems in the homes, how does that look?
Yeah, so Adam was close, but one head is typically controls the fire 97% of the time. And then if a second head does have to go off, two heads normally control it 99.9% of the time. Adam was correct in saying that typically when we go into a home with an 1.75 inch attack line, we are putting out anywhere from 125 gallons to 150 gallons of water a minute. That is a lot of water. That water does a lot of damage. And we need that amount of water because the fire grows in such a high rate at that doubles in size every 30 seconds to a minute. as Adam was saying. So we need that amount of water because small fire, and then we get on scene anywhere from 4 to 8 minutes from the time we receive it. Um, that's why we need that 125 to 150 gallons a minute to extinguish a large fire. But when the fire is small and in its incipient stage, and it is growing, and it gets to that 155 degrees to make that sprinkler head pop open. And then that sprinkler head only puts out 12 gallons of water a minute, but it uses that deflector that's attached to that sprinkler head in an effective way to spread those droplets of water, and extinguish that fire with only 12 gallons of water a minute. Now, if it takes us 8 minutes, 8 minutes to get there, and we shut that off, we're talking whatever, 12 gallons a minute times 8 minutes is versus us coming and opening up a bale for 1 minute. I'm sorry, I'm using firefighter terms here, a nozzle, opening up a nozzle for a minute, and we get 150 gallons out for 2 to 3 minutes. That's a lot of water, and it's a lot of damage to take care of, a lot of fire damage. And if we can put that out with only 12 gallons of water a minute for a couple of minutes, we have less fire damage and we have less water damage. And then we have to be the fire department has to be quick acting in making sure the fire's out first, and then suppressing the water and shutting that sprinkler system off. So Adam was correct. Just a couple of little updates there.
No problem. Adam's okay with that, taking updates. Guy, looking at it across the state of Wisconsin specifically, how many homes have home sprinkler systems in them? Do you have a percent, and is that growing?
I don't have a percentage for you. And the International Residential Code is the sprinkler system is in the International Residential Code. Unfortunately, Wisconsin chose to pluck it out and not require it. State of Minnesota has it. The state of California has it. State of Arizona has it. And so, but in Wisconsin, we don't have it. And so the days that it has to be taken, or I'm sorry, the amount of homes that have to be that are done in Wisconsin are very limited. Typically, it is if somebody writes a zoning ordinance where fire departments have a long time, or if somebody has a long driveway. I know in Pleasant Prairie, right next to me, if somebody has a driveway over X amount of feet, they require them to put a sprinkler system in their house. And that's something that you can do locally with zoning ordinances. We're a min-max state, so we can't do in a general ordinance to make it more restrictive in the state of Wisconsin. We were doing something interesting here in Kenosha. All of our Habitat for Humanity homes were sprinkled, and I got on board with the local committee and told them that we could get a majority of the stuff donated as long as after it was installed, the people would take ownership of it and make sure that it was maintained properly. So since, I want to say 2015, maybe 2014, that every home that has been built by Habitat for Humanity has had the opportunity to have a sprinkler system installed. So typically those are lower income families. Typically they help build their house, and they actually see the process that's happening, and they understand the process, and we teach them while it's happening. As I said earlier, I have one in my home. So it's a growing trend. The interesting thing was when I built mine, I was basically educating my contractor, my general contractor. He is a contractor that him and his sons only build custom homes. They only build 3 to 4 homes a year, but they're very astute to the needs of their customers. And I actually got them to offer it as a option. And we hooked them up with a couple of sprinkler companies that would estimate them appropriately. They typically, new construction typically estimates at $1.25 a square foot. When you take into account the basement of my house, along with the 2 stories, I had 4,200 or 4,600 square feet at $1.25. My bill was $5,850, and that's exactly what it came out to when I installed it in my house. These smaller homes, these Habitat for Homes typically are anywhere from 900 square feet to 1,300 square feet. And, we're doing these homes for under $2,000, very, very easily under $2,000. And I guess it all comes down to if you truly educate and you truly make people understand that only one head goes off, and I'm pointing to this head right here. If that fire is directly around in a 12-foot area, directly around that head, and that fire produces enough heat to get that sprinkler head to go off right there, um, it will put that fire out, or at least contain it until the fire department can get on scene. And
That,
to put a price on that is priceless, in my opinion.
I was just gonna say, I think that right there in itself explains this, the price, the outweigh, or the benefits outweigh the price, certainly in doing this. I think that I'm glad you shared about new construction installing, but I'm in a home already built, already there, already established. Can I get a home sprinkler system in a or already built home, older home, whatever the case may be? Can that be done?
Yes, you can. They fish through walls just like an electrician would fish through a wall to put in a new box or a new outlet or a new light fixture somewhere. So they fish through walls. They have decorative gusset plates for in corners. They have decorative I-beams that they can use. I'm looking at your background. It looks like you're sitting by a nice rustic fireplace there. They can put a beam, a fake beam above wood. I shouldn't say fake, a wood beam above, and cover those heads. Typically, depending on the decor you go with, whether it's fish through the walls or whether you're starting to add beams, sometimes you get into that 275 to $3 a square foot for rehabs. And that is because it takes the time to fish the walls. There's more labor on the installation end of it because we're essentially working blind. You're trying to get stuff through walls up to second stories. Second stories are typically more difficult to do, but a ranch is relatively easy to do.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good to know for people who are on the fence on whether to do it or not. And then ongoing maintenance for the sprinkler systems. You kind of mentioned that a little bit here, but what does that look like? Are we getting them tested regularly? What does that look like?
So probably the biggest thing that you have to do when you have a sprinkler system in your house is there's something that's called a backflow preventer, and that's a double check valve that prevents the water from flowing backwards into your domestic water, because that water that sits in the pipes of the sprinkler system is ready to go, and it's stagnant. It just sits there. Okay. You don't want that water flowing back into your domestic water like you would use to drink out of the sink, make ice cubes with your automatic ice maker, flush your toilets, take your shower with. So they come in and they test that backflow preventer to make sure that that is holding pressure and that check valve is working correctly so that water doesn't come back into your domestic water. Then what they're going to do is they're going to walk around your house. They're going to make sure that all your clearances are appropriate. They're going to make sure that your water pressure is still there. And then basically they're going to leave your house and give you a report on if anything needs to be taken care of. My annual inspection costs $75. Not a huge cost. If you amortize it out over 12 months, what is it? $9 a month? No, it's less than $9 a month. It's $7 a month. So, I mean, when you look at it, if you can't stop going to Starbucks 2 days a week to maintain your sprinkler system, um, you have more important things on your mind than the life safety aspect of your house. So
Yeah, it's good to know, and overall kind of puts it in perspective as far as pulling it all together. Final one, I heard you guys kind of mention maybe looking at different types of sprinklers and those being connected to your to alarm systems. So is that a common practice when these are installed in the homes? Are they typically, if it goes off, is it going to set a smoke detector off, or a smoke detector goes off? Is there alarming systems to those? How does that work? I mean, I know the sprinkler head itself needs the heat to go off, but if it does go off, can that alert you, or is there that technology?
So typically, sprinkler systems in the state of Wisconsin are required to be monitored by a fire alarm. And monitoring means as soon as water flows, there's a trigger right above the check valve that water's flowing. It, for lack of better terms, a little flapper in the pipe starts moving, and then it sends an alarm to your alarm panel, and then your alarm panel dials out to your monitoring company. And it's also interconnected, and it is connected to the alarm. And what happens is my horns and strobes will go off in my house, and they'll go off if the smoke alarms go off too. But it's a different horn and strobe that goes off. So um, to answer your correction, very short, yes, they need to be monitored. That is an added cost, but typically everybody in these newer homes that we're building today installs a burglar alarm, some type of alarm system, and it's just another point to monitor. That's all it is. And typically, I know that my monitoring company charges me $3 extra a month to monitor that water flow alarm.
That's
So
good to know. And
my burglar alarm is $35 a month. And if I didn't have the sprinkler system, it would be $32 a month.
wow. Well, Guy, I really appreciate the time. I wish we could keep going here, but unfortunately, we've got to stop here at this point. I would love to have you back on the show down the road for sure. You have an open invite here to Talking Fitchburg, and we, from Adam and I both, we really appreciate your time, knowledge in the area, and hopefully we can do our part to keep updating residents here in Fitchburg and around the state and around the U.S. on the importance of putting these into homes.
Well, I want to thank you for allowing me to talk. I am open to any topics. I do a radio show every Wednesday morning locally. I do one in the afternoon every other week. So anytime you guys want, I am more than willing to come on board and talk fire prevention or Packers or whatever you want to talk about.
Well, I'm up for that. Dorn's never offered that. It's all fire safety when we get together. But hey, we'll take it. Dorn, thank you for setting this up. Appreciate your time as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Chief.
All right. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana.
How does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
That's going to do it for today. I hope you all have a good day. We'll talk to you back here tomorrow. And don't forget to stay connected with Talking Fitchburg all day long.